y'all, it's me again, Justin Murray, owner, founder, and operator of Str8 Up Productions. Y'all got to excuse the audio today. Not doing nothing professional because we are having drum day today. So this video is designed to show you guys how to mic up a drum kit. You guys can do this method in your home studio, whether you're in a church like me, any other open space. We're not going to be dealing with a whole bunch of expensive mics today, all these mic pre's and all that. No slight to it, we're just not doing that today. Showing y'all how to get a good drum sound, some good mic technique, good mic placement, so y'all can have some good drum recordings, all right? Let's get to it. So, the first thing with micing drums is you want to get the drums set up, right? You want to get them set up to where you're comfortable, because we want to know how the kit is going to be before we start putting mic stands everywhere and you're stuck, all right? So get the drums set up exactly how you want them, and then also make sure they're tuned well. Take a second, tune them how you want to before we start putting mics in places and actually recording if you can't fix it, all right? So set it up right, get it tuned well, all right? So let's get started micing this thing up. As you can see, we're in a big room, decent sized ceiling, so we're going to get some good sounds today, all right? So I'm going to start with the kick drum today, all right? One mic on the kick drum. You can do up to 3 on the kick drum. If I had a hole in it, I would do it inside and the outside. But I'm not gonna do that today. Just one mic. All right, I'm gonna place that guy here. I'll get the mic on in a second. All right, it's good to get the stands in place first before you start putting mics on. So why am I doing it here? All right. I know some of you may be thinking the kick is going to attack here. Why is the mic here? You want the mic offset a little bit to help protect it. And in this case, what I get is some attack, and I'm going to get some resonance from the drum as well. So it's a nice blended sound. And then later on another video, I'll show you guys some mixing techniques you can do to really get a nice, fat, punchy kick drum sound, all right? So we're going to get the kick mic on there, all right? Okay, so again, not super expensive mics today. This is not a D112, a Beta 52, Fat 47, nothing like that. This is a good old Nady DM90 kit. I picked this up for like $25, $30, right? But it's a good mic intact, picks up a good sound. Large diaphragm on kick drums, all right? We don't want anything small. We don't want kind of pencil style condensers or anything like that. Not going to pick up a whole lot of low end, and actually that diaphragm can get damaged very quickly. So we want something that's nice and beefy, nice and round for low end, right? Upright, well, not necessarily upright basses, but bass amps, kick drums, things like that. These can even be used on floor toms to get a nice deep sound, all right? So you're going to put this on here. Make sure it's on nice and tight, all right? Now it's a little higher than I wanted. Of course, just get the mic angle that you want. Not all up on the head. We don't want it touching. We don't want it all the way out here either, all right? A couple of inches off, all right? And that should be good, okay? So, that's the kick drum mic there, all right? Let's move on to the snare drum. Now, a couple of different schools of thought here too, especially if you guys are getting into a lot of drum sampling and things like that. I myself don't do a whole lot of drum sampling. No slight to anybody that does. I'm not knocking it at all. I just don't do it too often. But I'm a fan of miking the top and the bottom, all right? The top is going to get you a lot of attack, a lot of tone, right? The bottom is going to get you a lot of beef and some resonance, okay? So what I'm going to do, shrink this guy down, all right? And this is why we get the drum setup, how we want to first, because I'm going to have to move this a bit to get it in place, but I don't want to forget how I had it set up, right? And if you're a drummer and somebody else is miking up your kit for you, you may be asked to move some things slightly, but if you get to set it up first, the engineer will hopefully kind of set it up in a way that doesn't bother your accountability too much, all right? Now, what I'm gonna do is bring this guy back, because when I use my mic, I don't want it all up on the snare drum, right? We don't want it all, like if the stick was the mic, I don't want it right here. You don't want that. You don't want this either. All right, and here's why. If it's too close, clearly it's going to be too loud. It's going to pick up some other things, and you have a very high chance of hitting it, right? We don't want that. We don't, of course, don't want to beat the mic. Next thing, if it's too close to the rim here, like right up in here, kind of pointing down at it, we get a lot of overtone. We get a lot of ring, we get a lot of pinging. a lot of extra resonance and hum and stuff that we don't want, and it's going to be a pain in the butt to mix. All right, so let me grab my snare mic and show you exactly how I'm going to plug this guy in here. Where is my stuff? Let me get this, let me get that. All right, so this mic, of course, the SM57 is ideal. This is Digital References version of a 57, all right? Again, call to steal on this. This is if you're kind of micing, studio recording on a budget. You do not need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on mic to get a good sound. It's more about mic placement than the actual mic that you have, okay? So, I'm gonna get this guy on here. Boom, 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 boom. Twist that guy on. All right, now I'm a drummer that likes to use a lot of rim shots, okay, in my drum playing. So how I'm gonna mic this guy up is I'm gonna have it straight. I'm gonna have it come up just a little bit. All right, pointed at the center. This is very key. About right there. Now, this is what's called a dynamic microphone, which means that it's gonna pick up sound from right there on the edge, right? Right there at the front. So although I have it over the rim a little bit, it's not pointed down at the rim like this or something like that, right? That's the only way I'm gonna pick up that overtone that's right there. I have it placed right here, all right? And it's pointed directly at the center, so it's gonna pick up that crack for me. It's gonna pick up the attack of the center of the drum right in there as well, all right, and give me a nice fat sound. Something that I also do at times is I will take a pencil style condenser mic and I will tape it to my snare mic just to get a little bit more attack, a little bit more snap on it. Great, great sound. If you guys have the space on your interface or mixer and you guys have the additional mic and the cable and all that, you're able to hook it up, good thing to do, all right? I'm being a little mobile today and I don't think I packed it, so I'm not gonna do it today. Not gonna hurt, but anyway, that's how we do that, all right? If we moved it to the side just like I did, just make sure that the angle maintains at the center, keep the overall placement, all right? So, we don't want it resting on anything, excuse me, the other drums or anything like that. We want to give it some space, have it pointed directly at that center, all right? Now we're gonna get the bottom of the mic placed, all right? So, I'm gonna put it right about here. I'm gonna grab the stand. Actually, this is the stand I'm gonna use, which this is usually used for kick drum, but I kind of switched it around today just for height purposes, all right? Because I want to get a decent, the other one doesn't get as high as this one, so I'm going to get a little bit higher. And I'm going to put this right in here, all right? You want to find a decent space to put these things. And I can drop it down so it's not right up on the drum there, okay? So it's going to be kind of decent how we want it, all right? And what I'm gonna use is a Shure SM48, all right? You guys have probably heard a lot about the 58s. This is the 48, all right? And so again, the snare, the bottom of the snare is gonna get you some beef. It's gonna get you a little rasp, right? It's gonna get you some resonance from the drum, right? What I like about these is the response on is a little darker, so it's good to help me grab that low end when you mix. Some people, give me 1 second, I gotta put this around a little differently. Some people like to roll off the bottom end of their snares to get a whole lot of pop. You can get a lot of beef by keeping some low end in there. Not too low, like we're not talking sub frequencies, not talking like 60, 80 hertz. We're talking like anywhere from 115 to about 150, depending on, you know, how it's tuned and what kind of response we're getting, right? Bear with me, this is, so something about like so. Let me raise it up in there, all right? And so it seems a little close, but we'll fix that all in our gain stage and we actually start getting mics plugged up and all that, okay? So something that's close to the snares can pick up that snare response, that wire, that resonance, all right? And if you notice, these are pointed different ways, right? The top is pointed towards the middle of the snare. This is pointed kind of off, and what that does is help phase to make sure that signal doesn't get canceled out. All right, that's something that you won't have to worry about. Okay, let's get to these toms. All right, now, again, not using a whole bunch of expensive mics. We're not using, you know, high-end Axis mics, or I'm sorry, not Axis, Audix, 421s, things like that. We're not doing that. All right, plain old digital reference mics. If you do not have the budget for, you know, 57s and everything, 414s, 214s and everything, a good digital reference mic pack will get you going. All right, not breaking the bank at all, and pretty great sounding stuff here. Okay, so comes with clamps on it and everything. Makes it very easy to mic up your kit. All right. So we're going to talk about some things here. When miking these toms, let me make sure I got the right one. Okay, so when we mic up these toms, they have little height adjustments on them, right? Which kind of leaves it up to you a little bit of what kind of sound you're going to get, what kind of response we're going to get from the drum, right? So it's not an astronomical difference. We're not getting, you know, 8 to 10 feet in the air with it. But if I have it up here, for instance, right, what's going to happen is I'm going to get a lot more room, and by room I mean room sound, a lot more bleed from everything, because it's not as close to the head as it could be. Right? So what I like to do is put it about right there. It's close enough to where it's not going to get too much distortion and clipping from my attack. Even though I hit hard, right? It's going to pick up a nice attack and get a nice little bit of resonance off that attack here. So I don't want it touching the head. I don't want it super close. I don't want it super far away. This next part is very crucial. You want to kind of give yourself a test hit or two, just to see if your cymbal is going to hit the stand, or I'm sorry, hit the mic or hit the cable or anything like that. As of right now, as you can see, I don't have a cable in yet, but this is a good little test to see, you know, how likely that is, to see if you need to move anything else, right? Even if you want to kind of give it a couple of test crashes to see how likely your cymbal is to hit the microphone, because you don't want any extra tapping, any extra noises coming into that signal, all right? So always do that when you're in this type of situation, all right? And just repeat that across your toms, all right? So I like my toms sounding, kind of get the same kind of response, right? Decent amount of attack, decent amount of tone, decent amount of resonance. So I'm gonna mic it the same way, all the way across, all right? So now we're onto the floor top, all right? Now, this is a good moment. Remember what I said to you about kick drum mics. Now, this is the only downside to the digital reference situation. This is the kick mic that comes in the digital reference pack, right? Let's look at this comparison for a second. Not the same thing, right? So if you can, again, swing a bigger one if you want to get this 80 one, or if you have the money for a Beta 52A or something like that, grab that, all right? I put this guy on my floor tom, all right? Why? Bigger drum, all right, can capture some of those lower frequencies, right? But not as big as this, not as small as something like this. This can work if that's what you got. This can work, but this is going to be a little bit better for what you need for a floor tom, all right? little trick. You can twist the rod, keep the mic still. Get that guy tight on there. Same kind of situation, off to the side. Get it a little lower. Alright. This one I can kind of point. Like that. You get a good 4-time sound. Alright. Next, I'm going to talk about the overheads a little bit. Alright. So, what I have there is, guess what? Now using KM84s, W84s, nothing like that. Good old Nitty again. Right? Nice little match pair. Alright? It's been working for me, trying the two for a couple years now. And still have some great recordings. I have a link on my website, which I'll leave in the description below, that you can see some recordings I've worked on and mixed. And I've got some great overhead sounds with exactly what I'm showing you. Alright? So, here's the thing with this guy. You can see these are kind of like the pencil style condenser mics, right? Which means that these kind of mic clips, sometimes they slip out of. So what I recommend getting is a little butterfly kind of little clips. Just get in there and you're good to go, usually, all right? So unless you have the thinner ones that these will lock into, these are a little bit more universal. Turn this around. Have to get a screwdriver right here. That me out at all. So let's take a second to talk about mic placement. All right. So there's a lot of schools of thought on, micing up a drum kit, depending on how many mics you have, what kind of sound you want to get, how detailed you want to get, right? There's some people that do like multiple pairs of overheads, different kinds of ways. Overheads are designed to pick up the entire picture of what you see, right? It's almost like if you think like a camera shot, right? It's literally getting an overhead audio picture of what we see. Right? And we can do some different things. We can move them. That's all in mixing and, kind of move it over here, move it over there, right? But it's designed to pick up what is right here before you, okay? So, especially something like this, I'm not doing like a large diaphragm condenser or something like that. You definitely want a condenser mic. No dynamic mics up here. I have seen 57s work. I will say that, but my recommendation, get you some sort of condenser, okay? So, we put them high up in the air, right? To pick up more sound, to pick up more air. We get too low, we get too loud, we get too dark, okay? High up in the air, gets us a little bit less dark, all right? Picks up more of the picture, okay? So I really want this to pick up this kind of hi-hat snare cymbal, a little bit of tom, right? But since I have the close mics on the tom, I'm not too worried about it. I kind of want more, definitely want the cymbal, definitely want the hi-hat, right? Kind of a little more pop on the snare. So what I'm gonna do, I raise it up, and even if like, this is the tallest it goes, right? But what I'll do, since it's a boom, is kind of tilt it up a little bit more just to give me a touch more air, right? And I'm bringing it in, and as you can see, I have it pointing kind of over the crash. But what I'll do is I'll tilt it slightly, right, to where it's still kind of getting that crash. It'll get that crash attack, but it'll also pick up the snare, pick up the hi-hat a little bit too, right? And you can use the mic capsules as kind of eyeballs to see where it's gonna point at what it's gonna pick up, right? So if we look at it, it's kind of pointing directly boom, in there. But in all of that is gonna pick up this, right? Now, kind of get the cymbal, but still at the snare as well, because we really want that snare to pop in our mix. Those cymbals are gonna come through. They're loud, they're big, they're gonna bleed through a lot of stuff, right? Drum mics pick up a lot. We want that snare to come through the mix, all right? So keep that in mind in your mic placement. We're just gonna follow suit over here with the ride cymbal, all right? Then we're gonna talk a little bit more detailed about the ride cymbal in just a second. Luke, I'm gonna time lapse this part. I don't know if this can hold it. All right, so let's talk about what I did here for a second, all right? So I'm a drummer that also uses the ride cymbal a lot. I do a lot of gospel music, so we love our ride cymbals, we love our bells, right? But we still want to kind of pick up the picture here. So what I'm doing is moving my mic towards this side, and I'm bringing it out and kind of pointing it back because I want to get this bell sound, right? But I also still want to pick up some tom action over here. Definitely want to grab this crash as well. But I want to make sure this bell gets picked up as well. This is a good way to do that, all right? Now, if you have the extra mics, the cables, you got the space, what you can do is option A, take another pencil style condenser, stick that guy up under here, under the ride cymbal, kind of point it up at it. Good way to get a nice ride sound. The other thing I recommend doing is getting another boom stand, right? Specifically for the ride cymbal. And what I do is put the condenser about right here, okay? Have it up, but about right there. Make sure it's not gonna get hit, all right? And point it at that snare. Why? When you pan these overheads out, again, you want that snare to pop, and this is a good way to get that ride sound, but still pick up some extra snare from this side, all right? So if you have all the workings to do, you got the mic, you got the stand, you got the cable, you got the spacing interface, or your digital mixer, whatever you have here, definitely recommend doing that, all right? That's a good, nice little move to do, but if you don't, boom, that will do you. Now, if you're gonna mic the ride cymbal, what you can do is kind of focus more on what's happening over here, tilt down, really grab the cymbal. If you have like another stack or something over here, another crash, kind of put it in between that to really pick up that cymbal sound and spread it out, spread that picture out, all right? Wide drums, nice picture, okay? In your mix, all right? So, again, I gave you some different options. I have done some of these things that I've recommended to you. This is to show you what you do with kind of a basic mic setup, right? Now, the ride cymbal thing was extra. Taping on the condenser for the snare was a little different as well. The thing with the kick mics was different. Let's talk about this hi-hat too. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this guy in. What's that? All right, what I'm gonna do is bring this guy in. We're gonna get this hi-hat mic too. All right. Now, if you don't have this, there's some things you can do because the hi-hat's gonna bleed into the snare mic a little bit. Don't worry about this. I'm gonna tighten it up in just a second. All right. But to get a cleaner, sometimes even crisper hi-hat sound, right? What we can do is get this guy mic'd up. Couple different options. People use condensers, people use dynamics. I'm gonna use a dynamic. Alright, so I'm going to use this guy here. This is the SM7, I'm sorry, this is the MV7. Sorry, this is kind of the great value SM7B. Alright, now a lot of people use this on vocals. It's great for like a female vocal. Love it for that. But it's also incredible on a hi-hat. I did not believe the hype at first. Sure didn't. But I tried it for myself and whoo, whoo, let me tell you something. This joke on the hi-hat is really, really nice. Really nice, all right? So what we're gonna do is angle that guy, all right? Bring it back, and about right there, all right? That's all you need. What you can also do is, if you have a condenser, same thing with the ride cymbal, point it over and at the snare drum, all right? I think I might have put that wrong place, but point it over and at the snare drum to really further spread that picture out. But micing directly to the hi-hat, boom, something like this, close enough to pick up that stick attack. If you open up a little bit and you like to have that kind of sound, a nice little wash, pick that up, very nice as well. All right, you want to make sure all your gain staging is excellent on your mic. What that looks like is when you're looking at your input gain, a lot of green, just the slightest hint of yellow, you'll be solid. Every drum. A lot of green, the slightest hint of yellow. No strong yellow, no orange, definitely no red. All right? A lot of green, slightest bit of yellow, you're good to go. All right? All of these will be mono. All right, in your DAWs, no stereo, right? All mono. Okay? So, this is how you mic up a kit. All right? The last tip I can give you is if you're in a big room like this or you have a lot of space, what you can do is take a couple of large diaphragm condensers and go like in the middle towards the back of the room and throw up some condensers for a stereo room sound. That will take your drum, before you even touch an EQ, a compressor, a reverb, anything, that right there could take your drum sound woo, to the next level really quickly, all right? So, the basics of how to mic up your drum kit, all right? Hopefully this video helped y'all. Hopefully you're inspired. Hopefully you have a new way to go and mic up your kit and get some really good sounds. Inexpensive mics, great sound. All about your placement. All about your placement, all right? More about the how than the what, all right? So, happy music, happy learning, happy playing. I'll see y'all next time.